Hey everyone. Oh my gosh, we have such an exciting night before you. And but before we get into it, I just want to take a moment to basically honor the brave men and women who gave their lives defending this nation and preserving the freedoms that we so get to enjoy today. You know, on this Memorial Day, we really remember the sacrifices and the courage of those fallen Americans. So I just want to bring that to the forefront. I also want to bring up another fallen patriot. That we just recently found out about, and that is actually, that ain't the right one. I don't know why it's not showing the right one, but there we go. This is actually Jordan Clark. Jordan Clark was a truther out there, and he was going through a lot of issues within his heart. He was getting better, and then we just found out that he just passed a couple days ago. So keep his family in prayer. Okay. So, I mean, just so much going on. And I'm just excited about this to announce that my brand new ebook will officially be released this Friday. My dog's barking in the background, so he's really fired up about this. And so tonight, I'm offering everybody the opportunity to pre-order and receive a free copy. This message that I put within the pages talks about the vagus nerve, cell-to-cell communication, understanding the body as God designed it. Okay, and it will help empower you to thrive in these times, these challenging times, because so many of us, we know that we are in an industry of sick care, not wellness. So go ahead, and I'll have the links out there after for your free copy. All you have to do is email me, and I will get that right off to you on Friday. Okay. So with that, guys, I am fired up. You probably saw the banner. Well, you know what? Before I do that, I'll show you the book real quick, okay? This is what the ebook looks like, the hidden switch. And it just goes into a lot of fascinating materials here. So with that, I'm just so, again, like I said, fired up about another powerful edition on Upfront and the Prophetic. And tonight we are joined by my new dear friend. We've had him on about, maybe a month ago, John Michael Chambers from JMC Broadcasting. If you don't know about it, oh my gosh, I'll have the links below to tap in, because the guests that he has are amazing, okay? And they know what they're talking about. So what are we going to talk about tonight? Everything. I'm so, oh my gosh. Okay. We're going to talk about what the heck happened in DC, right? Why was Trump just, emergency heading back to DC, couldn't even go to Don Jr.'s wedding. Talk about JFK Jr. I know that sparked some interest right there. And how about JD Vance? What's going on there, guys? But so much more. So without further ado, my dear friend, John Michael Chambers, how are you?
I'm good. Good evening to you, and good morning to me here in Chiang Mai, Thailand. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. I cannot tell you how many texts and emails that we got in regards to our last interview, because so many people were like, oh, I'm so glad that he finally talked about himself and his journey. So thank you so much for being so open to everybody. We appreciate that.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you to your audience. And I haven't watched it yet due to time constraints, and I'm going to watch it, but I'm going to watch it and sort of cringe probably here and there, because it's me unplugged, if you will, or semi-unplugged. But anyway, if it was entertaining and valuable to your viewers, then I'm quite happy. Thank you.
Yes, it was. Absolutely. Well, let's start with this. There was a lot of talk in regards to President Trump suddenly returning back to Washington, missing Don Jr.'s wedding. What do you think that was all about?
I don't know, is the short answer. But as I ponder that question, right now, I mean, this is a blanket basic statement that I know your well awakened audience is aware of. And there's a lot of new folks listening that may not be, but these next 6 weeks are going to be extraordinary. And in terms of events, both good and bad, some understood, some not. One of those cases, of course, is this. I mean, a president not going to a child's wedding is, especially President Trump, who loves his family dearly, and vice versa. Uh, it would have to be something pretty extraordinary for him to cancel that event. And then, of course, the shooting that took place. I haven't
Right.
delved into it. I'm going to ask my panel. I'm recording a global defense war military panel tomorrow, publishing this week. We'll have them weigh in on it. But my blanket broad statement is expect the unexpected,
Mm.
both good and or bad, um, and particularly ramped up between now, including false flags, between now and July 4th. And it's not to say that after July 4th everything is just smooth sailing. No, we're in the storm. I mean, the
Yeah.
president published the other day on Truth Social an image of himself, like a digital image, with his Make America hat on, pointing forward. I think it was a general or somebody behind him in a storm environment, so forth, on the water, and the memes said something like, "This was the calm before the storm," and the key word there, of course, is "was." And what does that insinuate? Well, that we're in the storm, and so we are. Now, he hasn't said yet, and I know I wouldn't have missed it because it would be everywhere.
Yeah.
If and when the president says, "My fellow Americans, the
Mm.
storm is upon us," that would be, if that in fact occurs, that would be a real signal, because it's my understanding that that's what the cue boards dropped back in the day, that when the president says that, that's what's happening. But anyway, he just published something about the storm was coming, which means it's here. And so the DC shooting, president not going to Don Jr.'s wedding, um, there's going to be all kinds of things that happen. Why? Well, because they know they're caught. Like President said, for how many years? We have everything on everyone. And justice will be served. And that's what's been happening. That's what is happening. And more optically with James Comey, for example, and everyone else who's running for the hills underneath him right now. There's going to be all kinds of retaliatory events, attacks, false flags, and things going on, because it's their 11th hour. They're at the precipice, and we're on the offense. So there you have it. Uh, and I have no information about the DC shooting at all, but I will say this, and I will certainly knock on wood as I say it, for the old suspicious expressions, if you will. They're not going to take Donald Trump down, no matter how many times with their stupid bullets and their strategies. It's not going to happen, because he's got a shield of protection from God, in my opinion, and he's got the right security. There are multiple Trumps, as there always are with key figures, and he's got superior security. Oh, and he also understands the way to work with time travel, looking glass, and these sorts of things. So they can keep going at it. Let's hope they don't, but they're not going to take him down.
Yeah, amen to that. Yeah, he's God ordained him for this time and season, so we're going to see it through. That's for sure. Also during that same time, Arvanka had an
Mhm.
assassination attempt, right?
Yep,
So,
yep.
I mean, all these
That's
things combined.
They're concerning. And again, I'm not going to sound like a broken record. I'll just be very brief on it. But Juan Savin has stated, now we're switching gears to the financial aspect,
Sure.
that what's coming is going to be among the worst of everything we've already been through. Well, that's interesting. But also, what I get at is retaliation. That's a
Hmm.
word that should become permeating in the quote podcaster space, because it's just common sense. They're going to retaliate because we're taking them down. They're getting arrested.
Right.
They're going to tribunals. The world is finding out they've lost control over the mainstream media narrative, because we're in there taking control. And I'm happy to comment about that gentleman with the mask on Fox News the other day to
Oh,
prove my
yeah.
point of who's
Yeah.
in control of the media. But yeah, it's retaliation is their, it's their last attempt to stay alive, literally, and to survive. And so they'll do anything.
Yeah. I mean, you look at if a rat is in the corner and you've got them pinned in the corner, they're going to fight. And we've got a bunch of rats in the corner here that want to raise their ugly head, but they are coming down in the name of Jesus. I really agree with that. And then you know what, John? There was another picture of Trump walking with an alien.
Yes,
Remember?
yes. Oh yeah.
So
It was a
that's
video.
yeah, yeah. So that's a statement right there.
Oh, big statement. Yeah, I mean, it was a video clip, and then screenshot that image where
Mhm.
the president is walking on what is seemingly obviously a military base of sorts. When you look in the background, he's walking with some distinguished gentlemen in suits and one GI, let's say, a military gentleman, in his U.S. Army gear. And that was the picture, the video. And of course, the president was walking with, seemingly talking to and adjusting the chains, the handcuffed chains on an alien. And I'm told by Ricardo Bossi that they prefer to be called ETs versus aliens. So I guess that's a politically incorrect word in the galactic universe. I don't know. But that was a very interesting video and a series of comms in there that one can speculate on.
Sure.
And this ET was, I mean, I don't know if I get the exact height of President Trump, but I think he's 6'4", something like that. He's a tall man. And this alien was at least 6 or 8 inches, at least from my recollection, taller than the president, in dark silver, with the typical alien head and eyes. But what I gathered from that, I mean, it's just you could read into it a lot of ways, and I haven't spoken with any of my guests yet on that. But my view is, they're raising the narrative that they're here, they've been here, we've been working with them. There's probably good ones and bad ones. We must be have that under control. If he's got the guy chained, I mean, I don't know, but any narrative is good and fun. As President said, he published on Truth Social less than a week ago. I don't have it in front of me, and I'm only paraphrasing it. The gist of it was basically, hey, we're going to release all these files nobody else has. We're going to be completely transparent. We're talking about the UFO related files. And he put in caps, enjoy it, like have fun with it. And
Right.
so I think we're going to start to see more videos like the one you've stated. And more importantly, we're going to be getting, with each release of data, uh, like JFK files, like Epstein files, more and more intel as it goes along, as not to shock the hell out of everybody. But this is going to create a lot of narrative, and that's why, to take a shameless plug here, but I'm launching a new show at JMC Broadcasting in June. I don't have the date. I think it's the second week. It's a monthly panel called Off World with JMC, and we're in the
Yeah.
process right now of researching, credible experts in this space, no pun intended, and create our panel. I look forward to it. And it takes a few months for a monthly show, or several weeks for a weekly show, for the show to come into its to its own. It's a creative process. Uh, and so I encourage everyone to join the first episode. I don't know when it is. It's in June. They can sign up for free at jmcbroadcasting.com. But but I look forward to that. And we're going to bring on experts in the various aspects that all of this relates to, as well as people with credibility that
Mm.
will share their experiences with off-planet entities. For example, retired Colonel Delta Forces uh, Chuck Sellers, whom I've interviewed many times, and he has shared some very specific stories about, I think it was 6 or 8 of these entities, these aliens, these ETs that morphed through the walls of his home, multiple visits with great detail experiences, all communications with telepathic. And it's fascinating. And I can't wait to bring him on sort of as a witness to what these files that the president is releasing, you're going to start to find all these people that have had experiences over the decades. Now, some may not have credibility and others will, but it's a fascinating subject. We're going to learn about anti-gravity. We're going to learn about free energy. We're going to learn about how much they've been helping us, and probably some other things as well. So, and it'll challenge uh, those that
The
are
view.
deep in religion, for obvious reasons. And one last thing on that, I encourage our viewers. I wish I could have encapsulated what Captain Peter Mattisou stated, but I don't have it at the tip of my tongue. But if you go into our platform and look at the currently published Eyes on Gitmo show, it's a panel show with different military folks. When I raised the issue that you're raising with me about the UFO files, as it relates to religion and what our Creator was discussing with us, he broke it down. He knows his Bible real well, and he went into the clauses and so forth, and started to calm the sea before the sea got rough. In terms of this, doesn't. I just leave it at that. I'll leave it as a mystery sandwich. People can go and check it out. But anyway, yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited about it ever since I'm a child. You look up in the sky. I used to go to the library. You go to the library like every Tuesday or whatever day it was. You have your, Tuesday at the library, 1 hour in fifth grade, and I would go right to the astronomy section and look at the books with the galaxies and the stars. And I was always fascinated by it. And then as the movies started to come out as a child, Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T. and things of that nature, which of course was us telling us future truths that would come out later. But I found it interesting, and I've always known there's life beyond planet Earth, without question. And if this is, and I'm going to be a little George Carlin here, this is just a joke, but if planet Earth and the human race is the best that God can do, that's a blemish on the resume. And of course, that's a sarcastic joke. I'm not blasphemy here. What I'm saying, making by that is, well, the files are out now. I'm not crazy. There are other entities. What level of consciousness they have, who put them here, all of these things we're going to dive into. And I'm sure we'll learn as the files come out. But God is in control of anything that lives, period, in my opinion. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, absolutely. He is in control. He's, in charge of the plan. And one person you should really look up, and he has a lot of credibility, is L.A. Marzulli. L.A. Marzulli. Well, I've had him on the broadcast before, and he's done excavations, found a bunch of things. Very, very interesting. And if people look into the Word of God, they'll find too that there were giants back in the day. And I will also say they are still here today. Okay. So that would open up Pandora's box in a huge way. But I wanted to share that with you. But L.A.'s Marzulli, and I'll send you his information.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
You talk about Pandora's box. I think Trump's opened up a lot of those. He's found Pandora's boxes. I mean, he's the disruptor in chief and the master of Pandora's box. So now we get into God and aliens. It's fascinating.
I know it is. And that's where the Bible comes in too, to say, and many hearts will fail them, because there's going to be so many things that are going to be revealed that people are going to be like, oh my gosh, and freak out. So that's why this is all coming out and dripping out. Q has been dripping this for some time now, since what was it, 2017, I think 2017, when we were aware of that. But yeah, there's so much. And so touching now on the mask, okay, because we're noticing a lot of people are wearing masks. So what did you want to share with us in regards to what was on Fox the other night with oh my gosh, he wasn't a general.
I think he was a general. He was a high ranked, as I recall. I'd never heard of the gentleman, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I never have either. Yeah,
that flyby clip caught all our attention, went viral for obvious reasons. But yeah, I think high-ranking retired military. I want to pedal back, and it'll only take me 30 seconds to close
Yeah.
out on the UFO subject. I think this is noteworthy, and I'm sure your audience is aware of this concept. That one of the things that we're speculating happened is we've known all along, we've heard certainly that the left, the enemies that we're fighting in this battle, were going to unleash an alien card of their own to
Yes.
disrupt our attention from the takedown of the deep state cabal
Exactly.
as we're doing. And this would be a distraction and a disruption and cause all kinds of problems and distractions. And so, of course, the president and his team, knowing this, figured they'd get there first and might as well give the people the truth. So that's the
Very-
kind of war we're in, folks. Those that are most folks, your audience understands this, but a lot of new folks listening to you as well. That's how you have to start looking at things. Don't look at question everything that you see and
Mhm.
hear and start thinking along those lines. Those are weapons being deployed, offense and defense, in the battles of our war. It's an information war, it's a psychological operation war. So I think that's part of the UFO game. But back, you asked me, we were talking about masks. Yeah. Well, this gentleman, how could I'm sure you don't watch Fox News either. I certainly don't. But because we're on social media, everything permeates and drips on you, especially when things go viral. And the question I ask, and I don't think, and again, I'm not on the pulse of all the podcasters, but I'll bet you no one's taking this approach. And if I'm wrong, well, I'm happy I'm wrong. But what the question one would want to ask is two things. The obvious, which we'll talk about in a minute, masking, and I certainly have some strong opinions about that, and things that I consider to be facts. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. But the thing that I looked at is, and I said this years ago when I was speaking at Clay Clark General Flynn's Reawaken Tour platform. We were a media partner from day one, and I was a speaker. And I remember telling the folks back in 2021, 2022, whatever it was, that we're starting to take control over mainstream news. And that, of
Yeah.
course, mainly began when Elon Musk was, I'm going to say, masked and or recreated in some fashion and used to take over the crime scene as Twitter. That was the first major move to us seizing control over communication, restoring the president's voice on social media, for example. And so now you look at this guy with the mask on the other day. Well, the interesting angle is, I'm speaking to your audience, that controlled deep state fake news, including Fox, CNN, the whole clan, we know they would never show you that level of mask opening because they wouldn't do that. So
Right.
who's in control of Fox News? The White Hats. We're in control of the information now. Now, I know that a lot of darts will be thrown now and comments will be made. So let me put the caveats in quick, calm it down. Not completely under control, and grade, and probably could be completely under control, but gradiently using that control as part of the plan and the operation, was so not as to shock, but as to gradiently wake people up, since they're watching that crap anyway. And
Right.
so that's where I stand on masks. So yeah, I mean, there's, they're sticking it in your face. They're ramping up the
Hmm.
comms. I mean, it's easy for us now. We don't have to, you know, tiptoe through the tulips on subjects any longer. It's so obvious. The president is putting it in your face. Yeah, that guy was obviously masked. Now, subject of masks in general,
Yes.
the mask in chief, of course, was the 4, 5, 6 characters playing Joe Biden for 4 or 5
Oh my
years.
God.
That's your
That's
biggest mask story of the century. And and that's obvious too. And anyone who thinks I'm crazy, again, the new folks coming aboard, we love you. Thank you for listening. Yeah, you got some catching up to do. Go backwards and look at the footage and come to the conclusions. And of course, people like Derek Johnson and others have done some great research. Even Pascal Najati, who's a controversial figure, came and went. The uh, the subject of Biden being having had his tribunal and having had
Right.
the cannon shoot off that is for those that are being buried, all that happened. Joe Biden was executed in a military tribunal, and those were actors in masks at varying heights, if you recall, as well. And this Roberts, I forget the guy's first name. He was a B actor. He's been noted to be speculated as one of them. Jim Carrey, there's some have said, who knows? Maybe we'll find out one day. Maybe we won't. But on the subject of masks, no tiptoeing. They're
Yeah.
real. People are masked all over the place. Um, Central casting, central casting, central casting. President Trump says this 1,000 times. Look at him. Oh, look, perfect. Central casting, central casting, central casting,
Mhm.
central casting. So, not conspiracy. If you still think that's conspiracy, you need some real strong, fresh coffee. Wake up, because
Right.
people are masked all over the place. Some are
All over.
cloned, some are masked. Who knows? But that's what's happening. And we've seen Joe Biden, who wasn't Joe Biden, go through green screens, his hands moving through microphones, if you recall back in the day. Expect the unexpected. Nothing is as it seems. Become critical thinkers. Challenge and question everything. Do your own research before you
Come
throw
on.
darts at others who have. And
Yeah.
wake up and take a peek around. It's an interesting time. But yeah, that's masked. No question
Yeah.
about it. And the fact that they allowed that, you saw the mask
Oh,
opening
yeah.
right here. The fact that they allowed that, and they had a two screen for a reason. The one screen where you didn't see the whole opening, and just so people can start to equate to what looks like a person, you see the wrinkles, and then they had the other image where the mask did fully show. And I mean, it's like a coloring book for children. Draw the arrow from 1 to 6,
Remember.
make
Yeah.
it green. Yeah, I mean, it's that. They can't make it any more obvious or any more
Right.
easy for the folks.
Yeah.
So
You're
that's
so right.
masks.
Yeah, I remember when uh back in the day, Alan had told me that when he was in Korea, that they pre-warned him and the rest of the troops uh, that who you will be meeting is actually a clone. So
Yeah.
he
Well, there
said,
you go.
right, and he's like, Fran, I don't know if I should have told you that because a lot of stuff is classified, but you know what? It's all coming to the forefront now. So, you know, but yeah, I
But
mean
what
that.
you just said, Francine, is really important. I mean, you have, military folks such as your husband,
Mhm.
um, who they've known this stuff for how long, right?
Right.
And now, to your husband's point, it's okay to say this because it's coming out. This people that say nothing's happening, no, it's been a drip process. There's been so much disclosure and so many angles on so many levels. These are the reveals, and they're deployed in numerous ways at numerous levels and gradients to speak to different segments of the world's population. It's so masterfully done. That's why this hasn't been a nuclear war. That's why we don't have civil war. And everyone has always said civil war, civil war. No, it's never going to be civil war in America. It looks like it, but it's not. There's going to be civil unrest. We've certainly had pockets of that. But 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 what you just stated is real telling, because that's how much we've upped our disclosure, and
Mhm.
people don't recognize it. But it doesn't mean it isn't happening. It's being done properly. And now they're gonna start turning on the fire hose, especially when the EBS launches and we get to see things in real time or things that have been
Oh my
filmed.
god.
That's your ultimate, and that's coming. It's coming
Yeah.
soon.
I believe so. I was talking to Derek Johnson, and he was like, it'd just be so nice if they just went, and took off the mask. It would be so awesome to see that. And I believe that they are going to do that in some respects. So it's just exciting times, and it's scary times as well. But if you know what's going on, then you can say, okay, I was pre-warned about this. So just
There's
talking.
one last thing, ma'am. The gentleman, I know your audience knows, we've seen him since 2016 and the 2017, mainly the inauguration process. There were images they've permeated in our space of this gentleman. I'll describe him in a minute.
Okay.
Walking in the streets of DC when the president Melania, when she wore the Tiffany blue dress after the inauguration, going to the parties, and behind him, and then numerous other places. We're talking about a tall man, completely
Yeah. Oh,
bald, looks
yep.
completely masked, right? You don't think there's a, I'm not saying it's the same guy as Fox. I'm just saying they're branding everything. Now that image, of course, and it's strictly speculation and rumors. Nobody knows yet, but everyone's saying that's JFK Jr. or
Right.
that's whatever. But there's one that came to my mind when you said, Derek, you and Derek were discussing, we'd like to see them take a mask off. I like to see that one. I want to know who's behind that mask, because that has been positioned and pointed to us many, many times. That's an important figure, whomever that is.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely. And he's been pinpointed for a long time. And, let's just talk about JFK Jr., and the findings of the aircraft, and then the movie, the series, the love story of Carolyn and JFK Jr., right? And then you see the guy by the airplane that looks so much like JFK Jr. older. Did you get to see any of those segments?
I did not get to see it. I've
Oh
heard the,
my.
the chatter, but I should watch it. I mean, how do you get it? I'm in Thailand. Is it a payable download stream or something? Or
Oh, you know what? I think it was, I'm not sure if it was on Prime or one of those. I'll find that out for you too. Let me make a note of that for you. But I just find it so interesting because I had a dear friend, and I say had because I believe that he was murdered, and he was close to President Trump, and he had gotten COVID, and they basically murdered him. And but as we were friends for many years, when Trump got in, President Trump, he shared some information with us in regards to, hey, check out this picture of Air Force One, who do you think that is? And I'm like, no way, it so looks like him, and then he would say, just like certain things. And um so for me, I really believe that he's one of the trump cards, and that there will be a time where he comes out. Um, I believe he's alive because there's too many inconsistencies.
here's an interesting. I agree with you on all fronts. Here's an interesting angle that I look at this from as well, and I've got a few comments I want to talk about. I took some notes surrounding this JFK Jr. as well as Michael Jackson, but as far as Junior goes, first off, a question to ask is, why have we been talking about JFK Jr. for 10 years?
Hmm.
That's the important question, and an answer could be, um, I mean, what, how and why did this narrative get created?
Mm,
And why is it considered, of course, such a conspiratorial issue that he faked his death and he's part of the plan and so forth and so on? Well, the fact that we have been somewhat consumed. I mean, we're really focused on the mission at hand. I don't spend a whole lot of time talking about Junior because uh, it's fascinating, and I'm real excited to continue discussing with you right now. But in terms of my work and the daily mission, it's a moot point because we're fighting a war right now. But the question I'm getting at is, the question that to be asking is, there's got to be something to this, because why would the white hats, because that's how this launched, and then widespread, permeated by we the people, we the Anons, we the patriots, made that narrative grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. Uh, why would they deploy this just to distract us? No. I mean, I can't connect any value in
right.
that strategy in this war concerning Junior. So therefore, that alone is an entry point to like, what's going on? Never mind all the anomalies we've seen, all the stories we've heard. Uh, much of this going to be speculation, but and then you have everyone barking up perhaps all the wrong trees. Vincent Fusco is JFK Jr., Juan O'Savage, hey, whatever. But at the end of the day, the lady, and you probably have had her on your show. If you haven't, you should. Rachel Right Side Blonde.
Ooh,
Yeah, we can connect you with her. She's a wonderful lady, formerly with the New George magazine, but she is very knowledgeable on Junior. She's done
mm,
some amazing collection of facts, speculations, and anomalies that go all the way back to the original George magazine, connecting him with Trump and everything else. So, do I think Junior's alive? Over these years, at one point in the early phase, I was like, nah, that's nuts. And then, of course, you start to think through it. And
mm.
with the obvious entry point was Hillary Clinton, of course, was running for the same seat. And we know there's a long list of people that aren't around anymore that got in the
Right.
Clintons' way. But one would speculate that JFK Jr., with the things he has said on record, I'm going to get my father's killers, I mean, and
Yes.
so forth and so on. It would be a safe assumption that
Mhm.
Junior's, yeah, I know he failed the bar exam and then he passed. Okay. Junior, I couldn't pass the 10 steps of the entry just to be able to take the bar exam. But
Me
but but what I'm saying is he's a very intelligent man. And it would
Mhm.
be fair to say he's got a lot of really good intelligence and Secret Service type resources that he may have outsmarted Hillary Clinton, faked his death. And when
Mm.
those say his body, because I spoke to an NSA guy who said, I'll give you the phone number to the SEAL who brought the bodies up from underneath the ocean, and I'll prove to you, Chambers, that JFK Jr. is dead.
Mhm.
And I didn't bother getting the phone number or calling up these folks because I considered it a distraction. You can't trust, and not passing judgment on this gentleman. He believes what he believes, or he's part of another distraction deployment. I don't know. But my instinct said, not going to go down that road. And I didn't. Then, of course, there were stories about videos that showed bodies coming up that they weren't the bodies of JFK Jr.
Mm.
Or Carolyn Bessette. And so the rumors run wild, as they should. But with all the things that have taken place and the fact that this nation, or certainly a large chunk of us, have been discussing Junior being alive, isn't just something we make up one day and discuss. There's enough potential evidence and certainly questionable things. And the administration, look, President Trump, how many times, at least two or three that I have seen, different settings on the two-chair interviews that he has done, whether it was all high level, whether it was Hannity or the left, CBS or somebody, one of the biggies, where he's sitting there and he's talking Trump and he's like, yeah, and that's why I love JFK Jr. JFK Jr. That and of course the host says, you mean senior? No, you mean RFK. And no, he didn't mean RFK. He didn't make a mistake. Just like when they publish, even Q said, misspelled words aren't misspelled,
Right.
by mistake. And then you delta those back and play with that game. It's no different on Junior. So yeah, I do think he's alive. Last statement about JFK Jr., I mean, at least for now, is if he doesn't surface, then I
Yeah.
would question
Mhm.
why. What,
Right.
what was the value in all this attention?
Right.
Uh, but I believe he does surface, and I believe it's a instantly a world unification, unity, and changing event. Um, and then you can speculate all day. Will he be president? Will he be this? Who knows? Who knows? I
Right.
hope he's alive. I hope he shows himself, and our hearts, especially those of us my age that watched his father get his head blown off. I was five
Mm.
years old. Um, you know, you're going to see a lot of tough men crying of joy
Oh
because
my
you
god.
talk about retribution, you talk about follow through. He took the deep state down, not just JFK Jr., but with everyone else,
Yes.
and brought the truth, and that's the best justice we're going to get is the truth.
Oh my gosh, absolutely, absolutely. And I remember there was an interview done with RFK Jr. and someone asked him the question, and said, "Is JFK Jr. alive? If so, do something." And he went like this and kind of put a smile.
They actually said, "Touch your nose."
Ah, there
If
you go.
They actually said it. I remember watching it live when it was happening. It was
Really?
a
You
Facebook.
were?
Yeah, it was this. Oh yeah, it was a Facebook live event, and RFK Jr. was in his library. He's got that big basement library in his home, and he's kind of half paying attention to the broadcast that he was on, and he was doing things, and someone said that in the chat session, touch your nose if JFK Jr. is alive, and he went like that instantly. Now,
Yes.
I'm not a mathematician, but the odds of that
Come
being a
on.
coincidence in my book are slim to
Right.
zero.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so last interview that we did, you mentioned about, oh, we got to talk about JD Vance. Now, why did you say that?
Well, since you're on the subject of masking, it's a perfect dovetail segue into it.
Okay.
Here's now, folks. I I can't state this as fact. I'll state some things that are facts. Um, you come to your own conclusions. That is this JD Vance. That you've got to arrive at on your own. We all do. Here are some facts. And again, fact check me if I'm wrong. Please let me know. And I don't say that facetiously or sarcastically. It's been a while since I barely looked into it, and others that did look into it, I read their content. But the real JD Vance is, I think, 5'7" or 5'9", number one. Number two, the homework. Look here. I always like to question the events from a different perch. It's all of us, yes, question certain things from the same viewpoint. I like to look at it from a different viewpoint. The first viewpoint that comes to my mind with JD Vance is simply this. If you go back to when President Trump was running for 2024 election, um, and he hadn't chosen a nominee yet for the VP seat, and of course, all of us, many of us were saying JFK Jr. is going to be Junior. And
I know.
I wanted it to be, but I knew it wasn't going to be. I think
Right.
his submergence is going to be non sequitur. It's going to be out of left field. It's not going to be a predictable one like, hey, here I am, I'm the vice president. It's just my opinion. So, but everyone was thinking, who was Trump going to pick? Flynn, because Flynn and Trump were doing a lot of public powwows together. Uh, President speaks very highly of the general. President said, I think it's CPAC back then, oh, General Flynn, I've offered him 10 different positions, and he's a great guy and all this other stuff. So, people were thinking Flynn or JFK Jr., basically. And then the more of it, country club Republican vanilla, barely awake folks would be looking at, you know, pick the next Republican from the crop of Republicans.
Yeah.
And then who does he pick? Someone no one ever heard of.
Right.
JD Vance. I'm like, who the hell is that? That's
Right.
the question to ask. That's the inroads to like, okay, what's going on here?
Do some research here.
Yeah. So here's my theory on that. Well, first off, people can do the homework. It was done before. I think the real JD Vance was like definitely under 5'10", 5'9", 5'7", short. The one we have today, tall. Second is the research that was done immediately by the digital soldiers, the rabbit hole diggers, pulled up all the information of JD Vance working with on a board or helping or being involved in an official capacity with
Wow.
Ambrosia, a company that manufactures, distributes or something, adrenochrome.
Right.
Well, now you start to ask the right questions. Okay, so here's my theory,
Hmm.
and they do this all the time, CIA. I mean, I'm going to open up a whole lot of challenging things. I get it. I'm not doing it to be controversial. What's true for you is what's true for you, folks. These things are true for me. John Lennon was murdered by the CIA and possibly the Mossad, but definitely the CIA through MK Ultra either directly MK Ultra or MK Ultra style brainwashing. This Mark
Right.
David Chapman gentleman, that's what happened. And they removed John Lennon. Now people say, why John Lennon? Well, because he spoke out against Vietnam. He was very popular. And the Nixon administration tried to deport him for some cannabis. He fought it for years, spent a bunch of money, and won, and was able to keep his green card status and stay in New York City. Unfortunately, since they couldn't run him out, they killed him when he came out in 1980 and was about to do a world tour after being a house husband for 5 years and being out of the public eye. But anyway, and there was 80 pounds of files the CIA and the FBI had on John Lennon. I recommend people to read the book Who Killed John Lennon and listen to a song by Yoko Ono, if you can get past her singing, called an album called Seasons of Glass. Listen to the message she says at the end of that. But anyway, back to JD Vance. I invoke that story because what the CIA does is they take people, whether they've been in jail or out of jail, people that they can own and control, cut a deal with, or just completely control through MK Ultra, and they use them to get things done. They're like cannon fodder. They don't care. So, in my opinion, this is not the real JD Vance. The real JD Vance was more than likely, if you think along these lines, ambrosia, adrenochrome. Well, that would be a crime against humanity on a hunch. So we know the executive orders. This man was processed, perhaps faced his tribunal, perhaps faced a punishment for treason or in crimes against humanity, and was done away with and recreated. So you just take somebody and you recreate them. Now, why would Trump take somebody with, in that area? We can speculate all day long, but I don't think it's the real JD Vance. Some people say it's JFK Jr., probably not. Who knows? But that's my take on Vance. And his face and eyes look of the masked type. Not as blatant as the guy we saw on Fox, but it's that eye thing, that embedded eye thing. There's something not right.
Yeah, it's like really deep eye setting. Yeah, I agree with that.
And if you go back and look at original JD Vance, there's some video clips where he's trashing Trump.
Oh,
Big
absolutely.
time. So yeah, something's up there, folks. Come on. I
Yeah,
mean,
I know, right?
we'll find out. That's my take on Vance.
Well, honestly, John, I thought that, when Trump got in for the third time,
Yes.
that, it would be different because he spotlights people and puts them in positions so that we, the people, can do the research because,
Correct.
like you said, we're the news and we do the research and we find out who these people really are. Right. And
Yep.
then you start to wonder, but I thought that was over, this third term, but he's still going at it, getting
No,
really
it's heavy.
it is heavy. I'm like,
It's heavy. And the growing list
yeah,
of people leaving the administration, from Bondi to now
yeah,
Tulsi and others, raises interesting questions too. Like,
yeah.
and like, look, we know where the president stood on Marco Rubio. Go back to the debates of 2016. I mean,
Right.
these guys were not friends, and so I. we don't have all day long to break down all these exits, but they're used for a reason. They're
Yes.
placeholders. Some of them may have been enemies that are stuck there to get things done and then removed. I mean, there's a lot of theories on all that, but all the people that pardon me, that buy the National Enquirer version of events today, don't waste your time there.
Yeah.
Everything's happening for a reason. Everything is precise. This isn't some random things. This isn't another Trump mistake. None of those narratives are accurate.
Right.
So just let it all play out. But that's my take on JD Vance. And it's the same story for Elon Musk. Character done away with due to the
Yeah.
harm he was causing humanity. The darling of the left, very rich, very influential. Do him away with him legally, constitutionally, for the crimes against humanity. Recreate him and use him. Take over Twitter, Doge, you said, and everything else. It's fascinating. And I know to some people I'm going to look like a crazy lunatic, I don't care. I'm not here to win any popularity awards.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Well, from what I understand is that he just passed two executive orders again, one in regards to targeting the IRS structure. So would you say that we're moving towards a different taxation model altogether?
Oh, without question. Look, I've interviewed, as a lot of military intelligence and economic experts, and in those broadcasts, people will find what I'm summarizing here, that for all intents and purposes, the IRS and the
Yeah.
Federal Reserve are done. Now,
Yeah.
I know that people are still getting notices from the IRS, and there's still some of that activity taking place and all of that. Um, but yeah, they've been dismantled. I will say this, I will safely say this: the IRS and the Federal Reserve, as we know it, is over. They've
Mhm.
been dismantled, deconstructed. We can cite a lot of very specific things. I've done it on my shows, on my own research, and I've had my incredible guests add fuel to that fire. So we don't have the time to get into all the specifics, but yeah, the short answer is game over. President
Yeah.
Trump said in 2017 at the inauguration, big statement with the military behind them, which they never do. Uh, I'm giving you
Right.
back your country. Uh,
Hmm.
we're restoring the power back to the people. Well, you cannot do that fully and honestly and wholly and completely unless you restore sound constitutional money. And
Yes.
of course, that ended in 1913, and the last nail was in the 70s when Nixon, the gold shock, they called it, took us off the gold standard.
Yeah.
So President Trump is restoring power back to the people. Well, who are you taking the power from
Hmm.
on the subject of money? You're taking it away from the Federal
Yeah.
Reserve central bank system and the IRS. That's who controls it. That's illegal. That's unconstitutional. So yes, it's being deconstructed. It's being demolished through policy, through moving the actions into the Treasury, through the removal of Powell, through the incoming of Kevin Walsh, who Trump said in the Truth Social is central casting. He said that, not me.
Yeah.
Your president said that. And ironically, Walsh is the 17th Federal Reserve chairman. You can't make
Wow.
this stuff up. And
Mm.
I will submit he's the final and last Federal Reserve chairman presiding over the Federal Reserve Charter as it is today. Yeah, they're coming to an end. Trump has told us we don't need income tax. He said that State of the Union. He says it all
Mm.
the time. No need for federal income tax. We're going to get rid of property tax. We're going to stop taxing Social Security. Very good, because I get one of those checks every month. Um, uh, yeah, tax on tips, many other things. Why and how can they do this?
Yeah.
$18 trillion of committed production, manufacturing, and investment in America from foreign countries, from domestic and foreign corporations. Over 10 years, 18 trillion now coming in. Then you have the 650 plane loads of gold. You have the St. Germain Trust. You've got all the stolen wealth from the trading of the birth certificate. What they're doing in
Mm.
accordance with law of war manual updates and the executive orders 13818, 138, 848, and others, legally and constitutionally bringing back the money and
Yeah.
putting it in and being good stewards of it and bringing it back to whom it was stolen from.
That's
Other
right.
countries, which will
Mm.
help get them straightened out, but mainly us. And that's why Elon Musk has stated, in a few years, you won't have to save money anymore. In a few years, you won't have to work, but you can. And that ties into a lot of other subjects. But well, I forgot what you asked me. We're talking about the IRS. Yeah, the IRS is going to be officially announced as done and finished. They've given us enough stuff. Scott Bessent, Donald Trump, usdebtclock.org, other
Yeah.
information. Yeah, it's coming to an end, folks. A life without federal income tax. Can you imagine
Woohoo!
that? Can you
Yes. Oh,
imagine that? Yeah.
freedom. So, I mean, from your perspective and through the context that you have, because you have high level context, do you foresee that this financial reset, sovereign wealth will occur before the 250th anniversary, or do you think that we're a little ways off?
It's the $1 million question. And much to my surprise, some of my highly respected guests that I rely on to keep me and everyone else informed, at least through their analysis, state they believe some of the major moves in this area will take place on or before July 4th.
Wow.
Much to my surprise. Now, usually, I'm a realist, and my realism, when you look at enough truth, brings you to the glass half full. Because if you're just a realist, you look at what you know to be true and real. And what I know to be true and real tells me the glass is definitely more than half full. However,
Yeah.
on this one subject, I'm a little bit more skeptical and was thinking we might not see all those benefits till sometime before the midterms. But I do believe look, the president and Scott Bessent and Dan Scavino have pretty much given us dates. I think they've stated June will be the new currency release. So that's a
Right.
before July 4th. And the March 26th press release from the Treasury Department, which is where the control has been moved into. Why the Treasury versus the Federal Reserve? Because the Federal Reserve isn't voted in by us. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
appointed by a president, but we don't vote. We have no say. It's a for-profit private entity that has stolen the wealth. So you bring it back into the Treasury. Yes, we vote those people in. And who's in charge of the Treasury? The executive branch. And who's in charge of the executive branch? Donald J. Trump. So the power is being moved back into the Treasury. And Kevin Walsh we're going to love him, our president said. So you can take that to the bank. And any central casting, that tells you it's fully controlled. Yes, we
Right.
are witnessing, folks, a little bit less clandestinely than it has been. We're
Right.
witnessing the demolition of the Federal Reserve and the IRS. It's game over, power back to the people. Incredible. And to answer your question, I believe some of these aspects will take place before the 4th, and a lot more is going to take place before the midterms. That's how I see all this playing out.
I
It's
see
all
that.
good news.
It is all good news. And, I, last question I feel in my spirit that just popped up in my mind. These database centers that are trying to pop up in all these states and so forth.
Mhm.
I mean, to me, that's not a good thing.
It's such an important subject. Everyone's been asking me to discuss it. It's only
Mhm.
relatively recently become a trending issue of concern,
Wow.
and it's on my list. I'm interviewing my Global Defense War panel tomorrow. We'll publish it this week. That's on the docket of questions. And my
Ooh.
Eyes on Gitmo panel, my other military panel, won't be till later in June. If needed, I'll raise it then, but definitely raising it tomorrow with Ricardo Bossi, Michael Jaco, Derek Johnson, and I don't know who our fourth and fifth guests are, but they're going to be probably Tom Lennox and maybe Rob Cunningham. I don't know, but my schedule's got that all worked out. I look forward to digging into that subject. There's dangers there. There's dangers with AI. There
Mhm.
are things that are greatly concerned about. I'll break that one down. The AI we've touched on briefly. I think a little bit later when we're far more victorious than we are today, when the EBS has been launched and some of the tribunals have been shown and we're on a safer turf. I'm going to start delving into the negative sides of these issues, especially AI. I know the positive, but if someone asked me what's the greatest concern that I have facing humanity
Mhm.
today, the first word would be ignorance, or lack of God in life.
I know.
But a second runner-up would be AI. I am concerned about the future for the human race concerning robotics and AI, and so is Elon Musk. So
Right.
that's a different subject. But anyway,
I'm sure your panel will touch on as well. And
yeah.
I look forward to that. So, where can people find you, John?
JMCBroadcasting.com or JohnMichaelChambers.com. They take you to the same website. It's a website. Yes, we have a broadcasting guide on the homepage, like the old TV guide, tells you because my programs are scheduled, some specific dates, just some that we say monthly, and the dates are different each month. So we have monthly broadcasts, 2 military panels. Every other week, Bosi Briefs with Ricardo Bosi and I. We have a special report monthly with Sheila Home. I have my weekly live global financial reset show. Probably missing. I have my daily war reports that I host. They're 3 to 5 minutes long. Compliments of Guardian Daniel R. By and large, was my content feeder. Thumbs up from Juan and a double thumbs up from me. Some of my war reports are authored by me as well. But that's the summary of it. It's a broadcasting guide on the homepage, and then the current episodes are clickable on the homepage. But also, folks, I while I can be lumped into the podcaster world, I can be lumped into a news network. I'm not a news network. It's vastly different from a news network. American Media Periscope was a cutting edge, real news network. This is a little different. I like to describe JMC Broadcasting as military, intelligence, economic, and starting June, health reporting is what we do. It's an information tunnel and portal of, by and large, experts, mostly the guests that we interview, cutting through all the nonsense and getting right for the real subject, not tiptoeing around sensitive words or sensitive subjects,
Come
bringing the
on.
truth as our guests know it to be to the surface. My job is to know what questions to ask and let the guests speak. And that's what we do at JMC Broadcasting. Also, we have great resource guide. I have a tab on the navigation bar with all kinds of publications from the administration and the private sector, Lloyd Brunson's work and others, 1776 Docs from Derek. All these things, the JFK files, are clickable on a resource guide page and a grid of podcasters that people that are in an alternative news that people can go look through and find, sources for themselves. So it's not all about I, me, mine, me, JMC Broadcasting. Your programming is definitely worth listening to if you want to make sense of the madness. But the site has value far beyond what I produce. There's a link. Sorry, I'm being long on this, but no one
No,
ever asked me.
please.
It's the first time I have an opportunity to put it out there.
Yes, please.
And I appreciate this. Thank you. Library of Truth is another link. I've got a great paid volunteer, Debbie, who does great work under the supervision of Sandy, whom you've met with online. Library of Truth, these are ongoing pages. They're going to grow and grow. There's probably well over 100 videos on there now. They're broken down by tabs, thumbnail tabs. These are documentaries, mini documentaries, documentary series, or just great broadcasts done by others, not by me, that our team goes and finds. We publish them on tabs. So if you want to know about saving the children, click that tab and you might find 50 incredible videos. You want to learn about the fall of the cabal, they're all there. You want
Oh,
the
wow.
Joe M videos, click
Yeah.
on Q. You want to know about the economy, click on the economy. We're
So good.
tabulating every Robert David Steele video we can find right now. Click on Robert David Steele, click on George Carlin. It's all there. The Library of Truth. It serves two purposes.
That's huge.
Great place to point to those waking up that want evidence. Send them to the Library of Truth. Or
Wow.
even for ourselves, if we want to learn more, you got some free time, if there's such a thing, you can go look at some of these videos. But anyway, jmcbroadcasting.com is where I am, and there's a follow tab with all the social platforms that we're on. And I appreciate the work you do. I know you were hit very hard years ago, like I and many others, and you've managed to get yourself back on the airwaves and have a great big following and doing fantastic work. So I appreciate you having me back. And as time passes, if you see any value in me returning, I'm
Oh
always
my
happy to be here, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I'm putting again the free ebook if you want it. I'll send it your way. But oh my gosh, yeah, tonight's conversation reminds us honestly that we are living through historical times and we need to be encouraged. I want you all to be encouraged and stay informed and stay grounded. And again, a special memorial thank you to everyone. If you had a family member that was in the military, you know what, that they sacrificed everything for our freedom. And I want to thank you, John Michael Chambers, for JMC Broadcasting, what you do and what you offer to all the people. Thank you so much, man of God, for just sharing and giving of your time. We appreciate you and love what you're doing.
Thank you very much, and God bless you and your audience. And um, you'll get, obviously, those of faith and those that are grounded in faith are already grounded through this turmoil, through this psyop, through this transition that we're in. But a lot of us aren't that grounded. Our broadcasting will help you, Francine's, many others. Be selective and use discernment with who you
Yes.
listen to and who you follow, and then do your own homework. Seek your own counsel, because that's what God has provided for all of us, and intuition, and some homework. So all we really want to do is unite us all in love and in peace through this time. And tragedy brings unity. So when the tragedies come, like 9/11 is a great example of that. No one cared if you were Republican or Democrat, man, woman, gay, straight, rich or poor. We helped
Right.
each other. It's time to help each other. And this time, it doesn't have to be a tragedy. This time, it's going to be a reveal of the tragedies and the
Mm.
justice under God's eyes that are being deployed by our great men and women in military. So God bless our military on Memorial Day. Also, you mentioned Jordan Clark. I was on screen with him once. Someone interviewed me on a panel. He was there. Rest in peace, great warrior, great voice in our movement. And thank you, Francine, for having me here, my morning coffee in Thailand.
My pleasure. And we will have you again shortly. I would say probably by the end of June, maybe the beginning of, well, maybe after the 4th. Boy, that's going to be an exciting time.
Real quickly, 10 seconds, I
Yeah,
promise.
no
I'm
worries.
meeting with our mutual friend face to face for an all-day sit down, 107, in the
Yeah,
next 10 days, in Asia. I'll just leave it at that. And he and I will meet for a full day sit down. Probably after that would be a good time to bring me on, because I've got what, 6, 8, 10 hours, 3 feet from Juan, nibbling away at food
I
for
know,
10
right?
hours. A lot of
Oh,
intel, a lot of incoming. I
it's
can't
going
wait to
to be
get
more
that put
than
out.
that. It's going to be more than 10 hours. I trust you. We went out to dinner with him. It was 8 hours. We closed the restaurant. We were sitting
Yeah.
outside. It was raining. Thank God we had some shelter, but amazing man of wisdom. Are
Yes.
you also going to the Fraud Fighter conference
I,
that is
I'm
happening?
I'm in Thailand. It's a
Oh, yeah,
20,000-mile
right.
round trip
Yeah,
flight.
yeah.
I have to produce shows every day. I
I
won't
got
be
you.
in America this year, but
Okay.
so I will not be there. But I have my pulse on everything from here, thanks to technology. But you're right about Juan. I had a 5-hour dinner with him at Trump International in Vegas many years ago. Uh, I just love listening to Juan, and
Me too.
I love asking all the questions that come up. And I remember one time I said to Juan, we are discussing the idea that he's JFK Jr., which he's not.
Right.
Although they were friends, they are friends. They
Yes.
do some role playing and so forth. But
I want to
I
say something right there. Because I asked him that. I said, because you don't look like him. And he goes, but we're friends. And I said,
correct,
he did not say we were friends.
correct, correct.
Okay.
That's right. Now that's how. So oftentimes, when you ask someone you perceive knows something like this, is are you JFK Jr. or something else similar of that magnitude? When you don't get a direct answer, but you get an answer, that's your answer, as you
Yes,
just stated. He didn't say were,
that's
he
right.
says
You
is.
have to have an
Okay.
ear to hear.
Yes, very, very, very good. And so I said to Juan, just for fun, this was in Thailand. He visited me with his beautiful wife, Jennifer Mack. It was great to meet her, wonderful lady. Um, we were having dinner right on the beach in Koh Samui Island in Thailand. And he came over here to visit. He was on mission work, if you will, in Asia, hopping around in Singapore and Tokyo and different places with the real money players. Um, and he took the time to visit me, and which I was honored. And I actually thought, uh-oh, am I doing something wrong? Is he checking in on me? You know, like what's going on? You know, let's be real here. It's a hot word that I think people will get the tongue in cheek of it, but he's basically been our handler. Let's call
Yeah,
it like it is.
right.
All right.
Sure.
He stepped into the media space, among other things he does for this nation in mostly clandestine ways behind the scenes.
Right.
He's played a major role in what, we'll call the new media. And so the handler thing is probably not a term Juan would appreciate, but I say it a bit tongue in cheek. He's helping form and create the narratives that are important for the American people by combing through your broadcasts and mine and David Rodriguez and other guys. But anyway, I said to Juan, on the JFK Jr. thing, I remember actually standing up. I said, well, you know what? And he answered it without answering it. I said, well, if you are JFK Jr., I stood up. I shook his hand, looked him straight in the eye. I said, nice to meet you, sir. God bless you, and thank you very much. And of course, we both had a laugh.
Right. Oh, that's funny. Oh my gosh. And he's not real tall either, if you, are next
Mhm.
to now, of course, his hat makes him tall. That's for sure.
I took a
But
picture of Juan and I. He was staying at I forget the hotel's name, but nice hotel on the beach in Koh Samui. That's where I met him, and then we ended up going off to a different location for dinner later. But when I met him in the hotel, I said, "Hey Juan, let's take some pictures." So I got a whole bunch of pictures of me and Juan, which I can't publish, but I said, let's take some pictures we can publish. So we took pictures from our knees down. And Juan wasn't in boots because it's 95 degrees. He was in shorts and sneakers, and I was in shorts and sandals. Uh,
uh,
but but he had the hand dropped with the ruby. So I published that just for fun. People like
oh
Juanito,
my
Juanito. It was
I
Juan. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Oh, I love when you could do that. And he's a I was going to say he's a good player, but I mean, I didn't mean it that way. But I mean,
No, I understand.
he'll joke with you and everything, So he's a good guy, that's for sure. A lot of people don't understand him. They don't understand the role that he has because it's a lot deeper. It's like, if you have to sign an NDA, right? That's basically, where he's at. You'll know a little
His
bit. That's it.
I actually wrote a bio for Juan. I didn't ask his permission because I felt like I knew him well enough. I mean, obviously, I don't know everything. His whole nature of his existence is largely clandestine. That's his role. Um, and he's taken 2 bullets for us. Everyone should know that too. And
Yes.
he's been serving this nation since before the time of Ronald Reagan. He is a warrior, a patriot, and one of the smartest men I've ever met. Uh, and and um, and great inspiration, and has been a good friend to me in a couple of circumstances where I needed someone to lean on to help counsel me through things during these years, and he's been there for me. But Juan, I wanted to close out with something. What was I going to say?
I mentioned
Yeah,
that.
a bio. I wrote a bio, and what I did was, this is years ago when I used to host Intel and Insights with Juan O'Savin. We did that of
Oh,
probably 100 episodes, and I just did it once, live to tape, and then we published it. And he could have said, "Hey, John, why are you saying that?" And he never did. So I got his approval without ever having to ask for it. And so if anyone wants to read that bio,
oh yeah.
jmcbroadcasting.com, click on contributors,
Mm,
and he'll be the first one that shows up with that bio. Now, it's not incredibly revealing, and not to say that I know it all, I certainly don't, but it's a nice bio that'll put him into perspective for people. And but the dart throwers at Juan, hey, listen, he has a lot of haters. So does
yeah.
President Trump.
He's
He's in
he's
great he's
doing
in
so
great company. Yeah,
right.
he's in
Exactly. And he
great
must be
company.
doing so right. Oh yeah. Oh
But
my gosh.
but besides having the haters, he's got far more people that love and follow his work. Yes, he's known to be long-winded. He will acknowledge that. But if you know what, folks, life isn't all about drive-by sound bites and memes.
Right.
Take the time and listen to the long-winded answers, because
Mm,
they're loaded with gems and insights and information that goes even deeper than the question that was asked of him.
oh yeah.
Consider it a gift. and just listen. And those that don't find that style good, that's okay. Throw him
Yeah.
some love and go listen to somebody else. But
Right. Right.
Juan is highly favored in my camp.
And mine too. One thing that he did that was just amazing. One of our friends, her husband was dying in the hospital, and they're both musicians and well known. And he called her husband to pray with him on his way out. And I
Yeah.
thought, oh,
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's one. That's one.
He's a
Yeah.
good man. He's a tough guy. He's a
Yep.
light guy. He's got a great sense of humor. And this man is brilliant. I mean, this man knows history. This man knows stuff. I mean, he's probably one of the first ones to tell us all that Facebook was a creation of DARPA, and that DARPA was initially well intended, but was infiltrated as everything else has been, and has done some very bad things to us. He's also, I mean, he's revealed so much to us on so many levels. His films, his books, The Kid by the Side of the Road, brilliant body of work. Um, you know, anyway, we're turning this into a Wano
I
Savin
know.
fan club meeting, but
We're just having a couch conversation here,
yeah.
guys, and you're involved. We have some people listening in and writing. Larry K4M said, "Hey, I'm checking in from Michigan." So, that this is how we do this, guys. It's like a fireside chat. And
Mhm.
sometimes we bring up things that just we bring up. So, but I want to thank you, John, for being with me. And yes, I am going to check on you towards the end of June. We got to have you on and see what
I'll be
Juan's got
with
behind the
I'll be
scenes.
with Juan before June 8th, somewhere before May 28th and June 8th. We're getting the
Okay,
flights, and I mean, he's all set with his agenda, but I got to get my flight to get to the part of where he's going to be in Asia, to meet him. Last time he flew straight to me. I'll fly to him this time. But I
wow,
very much look forward to it. And we'll also probably do one episode together if I can grab his time. But yeah,
very
hit
well.
me up sometime before June 8th. I'll have Sandy send you a message after we've met with him, because I
Please.
already know I'm going to have a lot of things to share. So thank
Okay.
you. God
I
bless
look
you.
forward to it. Yes. God bless you too. Good night, everyone. Up front in the prophetic. See